Hello everyone, the chart guys have been working on an introductory technical analysis course for some time now, and after surveying hundreds of traders, we narrowed down what the most sought after information was, and we created this course, Entry and Exit Strategies. It's over 5 hours in length, and we go over different signals that the charts tell us for when to buy and when to sell. If you are the kind of trader that is still looking at charts and not realizing what it is trying to tell you, still feeling a little bit overwhelmed, this course is designed to alleviate that uncertainty. So the course outline, we're going to go over the psychology of trading, establishing a game plan, recognizing the different indicators signaling bullish and bearish entries, being able to identify support and resistance levels, poor entries where traders make mistakes and how to avoid them, exit target, knowing where to sell your positions, where to place stop losses to keep those losses minimal, my personal preparations, how I get ready for the trading day, and then piecing it all together, looking back at everything we just learned and applying it to the real world. As a bonus, we'll also look at an intro to finding entries and exits with patterns, and you'll recognize these patterns on all kinds of time frames throughout the stock world, so certainly beneficial to be able to trade off of those as well. So we hope you will check out this course, and again, we feel it will build a foundation of technical analysis knowledge that experience will build off of and send you on the right direction to making more profitable trades. Hey everyone, checking in on the biotech sector, and the poor biotech sector was in the crosshairs of the Democrats all during the election run-up, and then we have Trump coming into office, and now he's attacking drug prices, and he's hurting the sector as well. So the biotechs can't get a break politically, and they continue to show weakness. So we have the very bullish reaction to the fact that Clinton was not elected president, and it was normal healthy consolidation right here on this day is when that became no longer the case, in my opinion, because we saw an increase in bear volume and we broke the low of this gap down day, and that was just another lower high and lower low. So we had another bounce attempt. Look at the decreasing bull volume on that bounce attempt. That's a red flag for bulls. We pulled back, had a bullish reversal hammer form on Thursday, no confirmation, big fake out on Friday. We were up 2% on Friday, and bulls could not hold on, and we closed right at the low of the day, showing weakness into next week. So the bulls are trying to defend down here, 60-60, 60-41, but we have this gap to fill, and that gap will fill down at 58-56, so that is a target, especially if we keep seeing lower highs and lower lows. And at this point, the bulls are going to have to break 64.47 to break this pattern. And if we break down and hit lower lows, then we'll be looking at the high of Friday as another resistance level that the bulls need to get above. So the weekly time frame shows this pullback, but it doesn't look too brutal. You look on the daily time frame and it looks pretty bad, but considering how significant the run-up was, on the weekly time frame, this doesn't look too bad. And it is a bullish reversal candlestick here on the weekly. So if we do have a green week next week, we will see the bulls make another attempt to try and get back over this 100-week moving average resistance of 65.55. It is certainly concerning for the bulls, the fact that the market is on absolute fire. The S&P 500 up 3% or so this week, and the fact that the biotech sector couldn't see any of that momentum, definitely concerning for the bulls longer term. But we would have to pull all the way back and lose this 200-week moving average support for it to be a red flag on the longer term uptrend. So we are still well above that level down at $55. So we look at LABU, and it pretty much looks the exact same. LABU and XBI trade very, very similar. We're trying to hold this 200-day moving average. No confirmation of the bullish candlestick, that hammer on Thursday. Rejecting from the 50-day moving average resistance. Support is 33.60, and the gap to fill is 32.34. LABU on the weekly, very, very similar chart as as XBI, but we don't have the 200-week moving average support to be going off of as a nice clear level to watch. So I would definitely be watching XBI in tandem with LABU, because LABU is subject to time decay, whereas the XBI, the Sector Spider ETF, does not have time decay, and that's more of a true analysis of the sector in my opinion. So I actually don't have LABD up here. Let's switch that over real quick. Meant to have LABD, which has been seeing some nice upside. So LABD has been seeing an oversold bounce play out with higher lows and higher highs. And we had a low down here at 15.17, and we defended that right off the middle Bollinger Band support on Friday. That support is 15.44, and we closed up at the high of the day. The upper Bollinger Band rejected the bulls' attempt to break this recent high, 1837, 1819. So the bulls need to break 1837 to see continuation of higher lows and higher highs. We can see this upper Bollinger Band is now ascending, so it is creating some room to the upside for the bulls. Don't lose sight, however, that the weekly time frame, LABD is nothing but bearish, and that's due to, number one, the long-term trend of the biotech sector still being bullish, but also, again, the time decay of being a 3 times leveraged ETF long-term is going to inevitably drive this instrument, LABD, into the ground. So we do have an oversold bounce playing out, but we would have to see a break of 3170, pretty much a 95% move from where we currently stand to break this trend on the weekly time frame. And I don't think anybody is holding their breath that LABD is going to be doing that in the near-term future. BIIB, let's look at some individual names here. BIIB is on the NASDAQ and looking at a huge gap up on Friday and a very clear gap and trap. Look at these resistances, 308.88, 307.42, 306.98. So we couldn't get towards filling that gap, and it was a huge gap up and a clear gap and trap where the bears took over completely. We are still holding this 200-day moving average support of 282.16. That is a must-hold level. But look at that huge volume, and that is all bear volume. Very little lower wick. There was a little bounce off that support, but vast majority of that volume belongs to the bears, as that was a trap scenario. Anybody buying that gap up was instantly down in money. So if we lose the 200-day moving average, we're looking down at 268, that recent low that we've seen. And looking on the weekly time frame, we can see we do still have a higher low here, and we have a tightening range because we have a lower high from 333 and 329, and now we have a higher low. So it's still a tightening range, and if we were to break 268, that would be a huge red flag for the bulls overall. But as long as the bulls can defend this 50-week support of 280, they will maintain that higher low and try and make another attempt. And you can see the channel being set here. We've got that 100-week resistance with multiple rejections, and now this 50-week support with a couple bounces. We did close just below it, but then quickly regained it. So I would be watching this weekly trend in that channel, bouncing back and forth. And if that were to stay consistent as it has been, we would see a move back up towards the low 300s if the bulls can rally at all off of some of these support levels. Checking in on VRX now. VRX, we've got an extremely weak name in VRX, but looking at the weekly chart in a moment, that may be changing soon for a short-term bounce. And VRX is only good for short-term bounce at this point because of how bearish the overall trend has been. So on the gap down, there was a really nice bounce to be had here. We went from essentially $14 up to $18. Really nice gains to be had there, but it was just an oversold bounce. We have lower highs continuing, and now we're pulling back, trying to defend support, 1377, and we just hit a low of 1424, so that is a higher low. The bulls would have to get all the way back up over 1865 to see a higher low and then a higher high and reverse this trend. And on Friday, closing near the low of the day, upper wick showing profit taking, not the note the bulls wanted to close the week on. But we look at the weekly chart, we can say, okay, we're due for a bounce. Number one, the RSI is oversold under 27. Number two, look at how much red we've seen. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. We have seen red 13 of 15 weeks in a row, and the 2 weeks where we didn't see red, they were still weak candlesticks and not even a green candlestick, really. But it is a bullish reversal doji, and why I'm more interested in this reversal candlestick is because it is a higher low compared to 1377. The bulls are defending that level. We must see a green week next week to be looking for upside, and I do believe we should be keeping an eye out for that because of the setup here. Look at this 8-period and 4-period exponential moving average resistance. This 4-period has rejected the price pretty much 2.5 months in a row. No closes, nowhere even near closing above that moving average resistance. So I'm watching that resistance level as well. It's at 1645. It will be closer to low 16s with the start of next week. So definitely keeping VRX on watch. What I want to see on the daily chart to give me some confidence is this middle Bollinger Band becoming support. That's going to be in the 1670s to start next week, the low 1670s. We did close above it once here, but no follow-through for the bulls. You can see that's been a clear resistance level for the past 3 months. So that's what we're looking at on the biotech sector, and we have to be aware of tweets and, print. Whatever these politicians say obviously have a huge impact on the sector, and that can come out of nowhere. So stop losses are always in place. That is a must, especially for a sector like this. And we'll see if VRX can get that bounce going this week. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend.